All right, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining this month's CA Endevor Community Webcast. For this session, we're joined by Brian Everett from our Information Services team, and he's going to introduce you to our new DocOps platform for Endevor and all of our application development products. As a reminder, if you have any questions for Brian along the way, please use the Q&A box in the lower right of your WebEx screen. If you don't see it right now, just go to the upper right of the screen and click on the question mark icon, and it should pop up for you. And with that, hand off to you, Brian.
Thank you, Len. Can you folks hear me okay? Len, can you hear me okay, rather?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, and so far nobody's let me know that they can't hear us. So.
All right, very good. Thank you, Len. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Everett. I'm the Information Architect for CA's Mainframe Application Development Business Unit. I work with the product teams and the information engineers, formerly known as technical writers, to plan and execute the content strategy for each of the products in the BU. Essentially, we have a corporate strategy, and then I partner with the teams to customize it based on the technology space, customer feedback, and the product roadmap. So in terms of an agenda, I'm going to share with you some research that CA has done to assess the state of our content, all the content at CA, not just Endevor and not just in the mainframe. And then I want to share the new content strategy and show you how and why it's aligned with the application economy. And then to tie it all together, I'll give you a tour of the recently launched CA Endevor SCM version 17 DocOps content platform. So a while back, maybe about 2 years ago, we embarked on a corporate mission to talk to customers to assess the state of our content. So we talked to a couple hundred internal and external folks via many research methods, surveys, in-person meetings, emails, conferences, focusing really on one question. What do you think about the state of our documentation? And that one question led to many conversations and feedback about what worked well and what wasn't working so well. In addition to the aforementioned research, we continue to gather data from product-specific customer surveys, like the recent one that the Endevor customers shared with us late last year. So the results, folks were honest, and we appreciate that honesty because it gives us a roadmap of how to proceed. And some consistent themes emerged. Folks tell us you have a lot of documentation, a lot of it's good. But despite a lot of it, we can't always find what we need quickly or sometimes at all. And then a key problem, and I can see this happening, is that the doc focuses more on what the product does instead of offering up use cases and real-world examples that show folks how, when, why, and they might use the product. And then finally, information's unfortunately, it's everywhere. A lot of folks asking, where do I start? Do I go to the product? Do I go to support.ca.com? Do I go to ca.com? So clearly, based on this feedback, we knew we needed to change. We knew that we needed to modernize our content and evolve the delivery model as well. In addition, we had this convergence of activities going on. Like I said, we knew we had to change our model, but the world was changing rapidly too. So the need for faster software releases and a faster content supply chain has become more important than ever. So before we dig further into our response to these pain points in our content strategy, I want to briefly discuss the application economy and DevOps and how it informs our new content strategy. The world of business is rapidly becoming a software-driven world. We all see this fact every day. In 2011, Mark Andreessen, founder of Netscape, said that software is eating the world. And I love that quote because it's very true. You fast forward today, and Forrester Research is advising that today is the age of the customer. And in the age of the customer, modern applications will rule the world. And examples of the applications in this new economy are everywhere, and they really are changing the world of business. Personally, I deposit checks with mobile banking. I control the temperature of my house via a Nest thermostat. I can do it from my phone. And then I'm addicted to a TV show known as House of Cards, which I stream through Netflix. So those are just a few examples of how applications in our everyday lives are really everywhere. And all of these innovations are driven by software. So to succeed in this new world, obviously companies must deliver a superior software experience. Ideally, this software is also supported by intelligent content. So the cornerstone of the app economy is speed and quality that applies to the software and its content. So to survive and thrive in the app economy, companies are turning to high-velocity software development practices such as DevOps. At CA, we affectionately call that the Agile methodology on steroids. At CA, we use Agile Scrum as our development methodology to ensure that we get you the capabilities that you need as quickly as we can and with great quality. And this approach is becoming popular across many industries, particularly the software industry, because it focuses on customer collaboration, continuous testing, and a rapid release cycle. Again, tying back to we get you what you need as quickly as possible with quality. So while software development practices have made strides towards efficiency and velocity, the management of content, especially software documentation, has lagged behind. Many companies still create documentation using clunky writing tools that only expert technical writers can use, and these tools, quite frankly, lack the agility required to keep pace with today's high-velocity development practices. And, you know, as a way to explain how it's kind of clunky is, you know, customer support staff members with good intentions often address documentation bugs by creating knowledge base articles using formats and processes separate from the original documentation. So this is just one example that shows how the siloed approach to software documentation is slow and inefficient, and it results in a poor customer experience. If you think back to a few minutes ago, we talked about content being in multiple places. Like I said, that's good intention, but you have the original content being created in one place and knowledge-based articles in another. And so this really perpetuates that pain point that I alluded to earlier. And now we enter DocOps, which is the name of our new content strategy. DocOps means crowdsourced, single-source software documentation housed in a central repository. DocOps means documentation that is developed and released in lockstep with the DevOps and Agile applications. DocOps means content is developed using an Agile approach with tools that enable collaboration, agility, and a continuous release. Furthermore, with DocOps, we can curate content from internal and external authors. So, you know, information engineers, again, formerly technical writers, we can create content in the traditional models that we have working with our development teams. We can also pull in content from support, services, sales, R&D, and education, and we can do that throughout the product lifecycle. That content is then published using a platform that provides a single source of content, and it can be contextually linked to product interfaces. So again, we're pulling all that content into one location, and that solves that pain point of where do I go, where do I find the content that I need. And then finally, DocOps analytics allow us to obtain continuous operational feedback and make changes on the fly to improve the customer experience. So you can see we can update content much more rapidly than the legacy model of bookshelves and guides. So we now look at the evolution of the slide from a few minutes ago. The siloed content model, delivery model is gone, and all authors are creating and sharing content in one place. You know, furthermore, by bringing content together, we eliminate redundancy. Our Senior Vice President, Jim Turcott, recently shared a stat. Approximately a year into our DocOps plan, we have reduced our content footprint at CA by 24%, down from nearly 29 million words to 22 million words. And the importance of that stat is that lower volume means better findability, faster content turnaround, and if your product is localized, there's some localization savings there as well. So the best way to succeed in the app economy, again, is to bring people together to get input and get feedback, to test theories, and to improve capabilities. You know, are we building what you need? Do you like what we built? Is the product and its content clear and useful? And with the DocOps platform, we do just that. DocOps has a considerable collaboration component. As we discussed, we can incorporate content from a variety of authors. We also have multiple ways for you to communicate with us so we can give you what you need. Ratings and comments will be your primary tools to tell us your thoughts. And then through Google Analytics, we can see which topics are the most popular and which are used less frequently. And this information can inform how we create future content. Finally, I mentioned earlier that we're an Agile Scrum organization, meaning that we build, small chunks of features over, 2 to 4 week increments, and then we return and show customers, such as yourselves, here's what we built, do you like it? This platform, this content platform, makes it very easy for us to demonstrate the content impact to stories at every end of sprint demo. So before we get to the demo, I understand a big question for you will be, how does this new strategy impact us as users and consumers of this content? And there's really 2 ways. First, we're looking to improve our content independent of the platform. So the main way we share content is through scenarios. Scenarios are IT, role, and task-based standalone articles that focus on daily tasks. These scenarios emphasize the business value of why you'd execute the task at hand. They all include a graphical element, a workflow diagram, relevant screen capture, block diagram. And finally, everything you need to know to complete the task is in each scenario, whether it's procedural, conceptual, or reference information. So no jumping around. So with scenarios, we are truly re-architecting our content around marquee features and daily tasks. And again, that speaks back to a pain point that we mentioned early on in this webcast. Secondly, up until recently, to get at CA documentation, you needed credentials to log into support.ca.com, which is just one more step in the user experience. Just as important, or maybe even more importantly, because of this login, the content would not and did not appear in major search engine results. So it wasn't very accessible, and we're really working to change that. And we have. At CA now, most mainframe content is public. I think the last number I saw was about 84%, which means you can find it by searching via Google, no login required. From an Endevor perspective, I'd say about 85 to 90% of the content is open. And then finally, we have something called the Lean Content Initiative. Through a close edit, testing, and use of an automated tool known as Acrolinks, we have closely revisited our content to remove obsolete and redundant information and to ensure that the content is current with our corporate standards. Again, the thought here is that a smaller, more targeted doc footprint should improve findability. So that's the first way this new content strategy will affect you. And the second one is largely around what we've been talking about. The DocOps platform is built on the Atlassian Confluence Wiki infrastructure. Quickly, the benefits are you can find what you need through multiple search methods. There's multiple ways to give feedback, as well as for us to solicit feedback or input from you. It's mobile friendly. I was on it last night on my iPad. Looks great. And it's print friendly for offline use, and I'll show you how that works. So we've improved the content. We've improved the delivery model. We've done it all based on research from customers and usability experts, and we've aligned it with the speed required for the app economy. So with that, I would like to give you a tour. So I'm going to share my screen. Len, just so we're all clear, can you see the CA Endevor SCM 17.0 homepage?
Yes, sir. Working just fine.
All right, great. So here's our Endevor homepage. We relaunched this about 10 days ago. We announced it in the community and Twitter and LinkedIn and all those good social media outlets. I want to give you a tour that shows you how we address the findability pain points that we've been discussing. And I really want to show you the power of the DocOps platform. As I mentioned, this is all done based on research with customers and user experience folks for optimal usability. With that said, though, after this presentation, I strongly encourage you to go take a look and give us your feedback and see how we can do better to meet your needs as a user. So as you can see, all content is grouped by type, content type or facet, you'll hear people call these giant blue boxes. So everything you need to know about installing is here. Everything you need to know about administrating is here. Anything you want to learn about SCL reference information is here. So a lot of these boxes, or some of these boxes rather, will remind you of some guides you've seen in the traditional SCM bookshelf and guide model. However, as we reduced the footprint, we really did re-architect the content to improve findability. For example, some folks, you may recall we had a best practices guide. And what we did is we moved the individual best practices into the applicable content type area. For example, installation-related best practices now reside in the installation section. Security-based best practices reside in the securing section. And we think that'll make that kind of information easier to find, and it almost becomes like prerequisite information before you do an install or before you go to do anything with security, for example. And then another way we re-architected the content is we typically know that in many shops, the security administrator is a very specialized role, so we extracted the security content and made it its own content type. So it's right at the top level in the tree on the left, so you don't have to, the security admin doesn't have to go digging around in what used to be maybe the installation guide or the administration guide. So to further address the pain, well, let me back up here a second. So anytime you click on any of these facets, a tree will open. And I wanted to show you we have multiple ways for you to get at information. So if we click on release information, the tree will expand on the left, and we're taken to this article. And an article is a collection of related topics. So this article is kind of the landing page for what used to be the release notes, and you'll see we have a number of topics here. And we offer these multiple ways to get at content because we don't want to dictate how you get at content. If you're someone who likes to navigate via a tree, let's say you want to learn about the new RESTful API feature, you open the tree, you see this topic called enhancements and new features, and we have a nice mini table of contents, and it takes you right to a topic within the article, and it's about RESTful API. So if you're someone that prefers to search via a navigational tree, you can do just that, and you have that option. If you are someone who prefers a text-based search method, we have what I call a three-tiered search architecture. And we're pretty confident with these 3 tiers plus the navigational tree, you're going to be able to find what you need quickly. And so the best way for me to explain the 3-tiered search architecture is to kind of walk you through some real-world examples. So the first one I want to go through is a content type search. So let's say you are excited about the new alter element functionality and you want to learn more about the alter action. So you would go to administrating, you'd click on that facet, you can click on the blue box or you can click on the topic in the tree. And you're going to type here, so what this search gets you is, this is a local search. So this search only searches content that's under administrating. So you type alter element action, you click search, and you're going to get back a Google type list of hits. And primarily the search identifies results based on topic titles and the first 100 or so characters. And so what mostly matches your search criteria will be at the top of the list. And at this one, we get a nice article about altering element record metadata. And we have, again, the mini talk, and it says how to set up the alter action. And we have some information that you can read, both procedurally and conceptually, about this new feature. Now, one thing I want to explain to you is that I mentioned that administrating has that local search where you can kind of pre-filter your results. If you know the content type or facet where you want to search, you can go right there. So if you're going to using, installing, securing, all of these facets have this local search. Again, we see that as kind of a pre-filter. So that's the first tier in our three-tier search architecture. The second tier is, you're not really sure which facet or content type you want to look at. You just want to search the whole space. So in this real-world example, you want to enable concurrent action processing, or CAP, because you want to speed the processing of batch jobs and packages. You know that global sequencing setup is a prereq, and like I said, you're not really sure if that would fall under installing or administrating. So I'm going to type global sequencing here. I hit return. I'm going to get back a Google-like search hit. As I mentioned, right at the top I get an article or hit that says global type sequencing. I'm going to click on that. And what we get back is one of those scenarios that I was alluding to earlier in the call. And so what you'll see is, right off the bat, we have the article explains who's doing the task, the admin, what they're doing, and then it explains why they would be doing it, the business value. And then, as I mentioned, you get a visual, in this case, a workflow diagram. Folks tell us this is really useful because it, at a glance, gives them an idea of the complexity of the process. And then the rest of the procedural content is below. So right now, I think in Endevor we have about 20 scenarios today, and based on input from clients, support, product management, and our Agile Scrum teams, we're looking to add even more. So that is the second tier in our three-tier search architecture. The third tier is, and I'm not going to demonstrate it, is this one up here. This is an enterprise search. It searches all of CA.com as well as this space. So we think with the navigational tree and the three-tiered search architecture will give you some excellent ways to get at content. So the next thing I want to share with you is when we started down this path to this new content delivery platform, quite honestly, folks have been excited. But a common theme, particularly for mainframe folks, was the need to print for compliance, for disaster recovery, and for offline users. And with that in mind, we architected this platform such that you can print from any page. When you click print, you get that parent page plus all of its children. So in this case, administrating, and that you get all the children. So let's say you're traveling without internet access and you want to catch up on the many new features in Endevor 17.0, and you could go to the release information page and you can click print PDF. I'm not going to click it now. And you could take that, it'll print the PDF, and you could take it on the plane with you and you can read it. Now the release notes is relatively small, and it printed in 8 seconds. I also published the using section, which is our content around marquee use cases for using the product as well as best practices. And in under a minute, the site produced a 100-page PDF. Now let me just show you let me give you a better view. Here's the release notes as printed from our new DocOps site. And it's not going to be identical to what you're accustomed to from our legacy content strategy, but it's very similar, and folks tell us it's very usable. You get your traditional table of contents, and then the content looks very similar, if not identical, to what you're seeing on our new DocOps site. So that's the PDF option, and then we also have the print to EPUB, which is a format that is a little more mobile friendly than PDF, as it's a little more responsive to the device that you're using. So as I say, we think this is a strong feature that addresses the print need. As with any feature or content enhancement, we do want to know what you think. So how might you let us know your thoughts? So how can you share your thoughts? Which I think is a nice segue into the collaboration part of this demo. In terms of collaboration, all stakeholders and clients can use the rating and comment page on every page. You can leave comments anonymously, or you can log in and leave them with your name. The key that I want to express to you is anytime you leave a comment, it is viewable by the entire world. And we do that intentionally because we want to develop and cultivate a sense of community. So CA folks are interacting with Endevor customers, but also Endevor customers are interacting with other Endevor customers. And from getting to know the Endevor team and customers, I don't think that's a problem because I know we have a very active, inclusive, and helpful team. So in terms of how you can collaborate, on the home page, we have a very simple sliding scale, numerically based. 1, you're not, 0, you're not satisfied, 10, you are. And optionally, but hopefully you leave some comments to indicate overall why you are pleased or are displeased with this content platform. Anytime you leave content or a comment there, we are notified automatically, so we can look into it and help you get down to what's going on there. And then I want to show you a new article that one of our lead writers, Margaret Allen, created. And it's really based on some Endevor feedback we got in a recent survey, but I can also use it to amplify the commenting feature. One of the comments in a recent Endevor survey was folks said, hey, you know, I don't know where to start. And so what Margaret has put together is kind of a roadmap for, based on tasks, the key content types and content areas where you might want to jump to. So I encourage you to take a look at that, but then you can also leave, we have this add comment button on any page in our DocOps site, and it gives you a pretty slick text-based editor where you can leave comments. Like, as they say, you can leave them with or without your ID, and then our service level agreement is that we will minimally acknowledge a comment within 24 hours. If it's something real basic in terms of a fix, we can make it right away. If it's something a little more involved, we're going to take it back to the development team to make sure we get it right for you. And then, you know, once we do, we will post a second comment indicating what we did and that the change has been made. And then finally, the last way where you can interact with the content is you can click watch. You can watch the whole space for changes that we make, or you can watch just pages that are of particular interest to you based upon your role and how you use CA Endevor. So we have these collaborative aspects, but this model really accelerates our ability to respond to your input. Unlike the old bookshelf and guide model, we can now make and share updated content literally in minutes. We need only update the individual topic, click a publish button, and it's there for you. There's no need to update some guides and run and post a new bookshelf and then contact folks on support online or in the communities. So ultimately, our content supply chain gets you what you need much faster than the old model. And it's one of the things why the reason I'm so excited about this space is it's just seamless in how quickly we can respond to your feedback. One other pain point we talked about earlier is that the aspect of, you know, where do I go to get the information. So one thing we're trying to do is make this platform really a one-stop shop site. And as I mentioned, we're trying to pull in content from a variety of authors. We've really just kind of scratched the surface on that. One thing I can tell you is we have the additional resources site, which gives you key links related to CA Endevor and where you might go for content. If we go to the home page, we have something known as announcements and news. And typically what you'll see here is what you'd expect. We announce key activities, if there's a new, key new PTFs, new incremental release drop. But I do want to point you to one here that Rose and I kind of partnered on. And that is, as I mentioned, we're an Agile Scrum organization. We are looking for folks to get involved, to give us feedback on the features we build or to suggest features we build. So if you get a chance, please take a look at this blog. It explains the incremental release program. It explains Agile, and it explains how you might get involved if you're so inclined. And then we have an email link so you can talk to Rose, who is our product manager. And one other kind of a glimpse of the future, as I mentioned, content curation and pulling in content from other authors. I do want to show you one, what I think is really cool, way we've already started curating content. So our education team presented, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear the audio here. our education team has posted a video about, what's new in version 17. So we pulled in that video into this DocOps site. So if folks want to read about what's new in version 17, they can read our article, or they can watch this cool video. And you can, of course, expand it. And I know that our writers, Margaret Allen and Marco Zimmerman, have already added a few more videos in strategic areas. And again, we try to align them with the related content. So we really plan to focus on expanding this one-stop shop model as we iteratively grow the platform. Already having conversations with some folks in pre-sales to see how we can pull stuff in there too, because we just really want everyone who's on Endevor to know that when you need to learn something about Endevor, you go to the DocOps site. Just a few more things, and then we can go to some questions. I mentioned that we have the ability to get at some analytics. So I just want to show you real quick our dashboard. And it's really in its infancy. Again, we just launched this last week. But myself as the information architect and the writer, we can see at a glance if people have liked pages, disliked pages, where they've added comments. We can see the number of visitors. And then no one's voted just yet on that 0 to 10 scoring. When they do, we'll be able to see the Net Promoter Score. So we just know how you're doing from a customer visibility perspective and how you think we're doing with the content. So one thing that's cool is we can go right here and see the commented pages. And so this takes me to an article where we got some comments. And I want to show you them because it's a nice interaction between myself and one of our support folks. So on June 4th, Craig asked for, had some questions about how the article was originally constructed. It was pretty substantial. I replied on June 5th saying that we're going to look into getting how we can go about honoring your request. And then I answered another question regarding search. And then on June 9th, because I did want to go back to the team, we talked about it. And we split the article in two, and I explained that to Craig. So this is a very small example, but I think you can see how this could benefit folks moving forward, because if folks have questions, these answers stay here indefinitely. And we really think, like I said, this will cultivate the sense of community, and it will help with knowledge transfer. So one more thing I want to show you is when you start getting rolling and you go interact with the site, I suggest that you go look at something called Wiki Tips. As I mentioned, our site is based on the Atlassian's Confluence Wiki backbone. Now, I'm just going to be very candid with you, folks. The word wiki does have some negative connotations. So I want to explain to you that while we are built on the Atlassian Confluence Wiki backbone, unlike a traditional wiki where, some folks might say it's the Wild West and anyone can author, we can't trust the quality. In our space, all of the content, whether we're writing it or we're curating it from customers or from support or product management, from whoever, it is all reviewed and validated from CA subject matter experts. So the content quality is as good as it's always been. So I just want to make that point real quick. But before you start working in our site, please take a look at these quick wiki tips. It'll amplify some of the things we've discussed today and give you some tips to help you maneuver around in the product. So that's really it from a demo perspective. I want to go back to the slides if I can. Len, how do I get back to the slides?
I think up at the top, if you just hit the rightmost tab, up, in the WebEx window.
How about I do that? Stop sharing. There we go.
There you go.
Sorry about that, folks. Okay. So what I want to just, before we open it up to questions, I just want to kind of inform you of the content, the rollout strategy for all of application development, which is where Endevor SCM resides, because I know a lot of our customers use multiple CA products. We already have a number of DocOps sites live, 2E, Endevor, Gen, Mat, Plex, and then we have a host of other products that we want to launch on this new site in FY16. The key thing I want to talk to you about on this slide is, you know, we are transitioning to this new content strategy, this new platform. But we recognize that customers and internal stakeholders are accustomed to working with the bookshelf and the guide model. So what we will do, and this will be based on a product-by-product discussion with product management and consultation with how the customers work with the product, we're going to leave the bookshelf live for a while. So right now, if you go out and look at Endevor SCM DocOps site, great, but the bookshelf is still live there too, because we want to kind of ease you all into that transition. When we get to 18, then we may look to retire the bookshelf. And that's going to happen on, for all products, and it'll be the timing will be different for each product, but we will be very clear in the communities and other communication methods to let you know when we do retire the bookshelf. So I just closed by saying thank you for your time. I do ask you to, please get out there, go and tour the site. You can check it out at wiki.ca.com/Endevor. And please, use your comments and let us know how we can make it better for you. As I say, this is the very first release of the DocOps site for Endevor, and we think it's in good shape, and we're going to continue to iterate and make it even better as we move forward throughout FY16 and beyond. So with that, if folks have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now.
Thanks, Brian. Great presentation and demo. If anyone has any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the Q&A box in the lower right of the screen. I don't see anything coming in, but we'll wait another minute or so. All right, Brian.
Hi, Joseph.
I see the question coming in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. And hi, Joseph. Thank you for the question. Internet Explorer 9 or higher is supported, but we do support. We recommend Chrome or Firefox for the best experience, but you can use IE 9 or higher, and then Safari is also supported. Any other questions, folks?
All right. If there aren't any other questions, I thank you for joining us this morning. Thanks again, Brian. And we have recorded this session, so we'll get it posted to the community either later today or sometime tomorrow. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day.